Welcome to the Iron Self podcast, where we jump into health, fitness, mindset, and becoming the best version of yourself. Today with your hosts, Mike and Kaila Minion. Welcome back to the Iron Self podcast.
Coming in hot, New Year's resolutions.
So today we are talking all things New Year's resolutions and, can you make the most out of them? Is it something that you should do? We're going to dive into that.
But first I want to give a preemptive Happy New Year's to everybody in 2 days.
Yes, so Happy New Year. Can't wait for 2022. I think the saying is it's going to be the best year ever. Is that what we say every year?
I love the little memes I've seen lately that are like when you realize that 2022 is just saying 2022 as in also. So it's kind of funny.
So let's dive into New Year's resolutions, guys. Should you do them? So maybe let's kind of define first, what is a New Year's resolution?
So I've known so many people in my life that as soon as New Year's comes around, that's when their life is going to change. That is their resolution. They are going to make all of these changes they've been planning for the entire year, and they start on January number 1. Good thing, bad thing? It's a thing.
Have you done it before?
Have I? Yes.
And how successful were you with your New Year's resolution?
I'm going to give it like a 2 out of 10.
Do you remember what it was?
Honestly, I don't. I was trying to think about that before. I stopped doing them because I did them for a few years when we were first dating, actually, when I was younger. And I'll be honest, they always kind of fell through. And it was because I was trying to make these astronomical changes. I am going to completely 180 my life and 180 what I'm doing on January 1.
I actually do not remember a single New Year's resolution that I've ever set. Like, I'm sure I have in the past, but never in regards to health and fitness. And that was like, because I think when I was actually setting resolutions, it was like prior to like even having any interest in health and fitness.
Revolution, yeah.
So when I was setting it, I think it was more like, I'm going to be more attentive. I don't know.
Something super measurable like that.
Yeah.
So I guess the biggest fall down that I see a lot of times with New Year's resolutions is the fact that we're trying to change too much too fast. So it's like I was saying, it's a complete life overhaul. They're going to change their diet, change the way that they move, like adding in exercise, sports, whatever it might be. They're going to change the way they interact with people at work or their family or whatever it might be. But it's like literally everything you can change, and they're like, I'm doing it all on January number 1. And that can be so overwhelming for somebody, especially at the very start of a journey.
Well, you got to look at it from like, what are the habits and routines that I'm currently doing? Because everything that you're currently doing has gotten you to exactly where you are right now. Right. So if you want to get somewhere else, you have to do things differently. You can't do them the same way that you've been doing them, right? It's like you can't sit on the couch and eat chips and hope that you're going to hit this like fitness goal. It's like you actually have to not eat the chips and do maybe some other activities in order to hit that same goal. So we have to be able to say, what is the inconvenience, or what am I willing to give up or change or do differently, however you want to say this, in order to make these changes, right? Change does not come without inconvenience. I believe that's like written on the bottom of my emails, because I really truly believe you have to be inconvenienced, and that inconvenience comes from stepping outside that comfort zone in order to start to create that change. So what happens with New Year's resolutions is we get these people, or ourselves included, right, where we're making these changes for about maybe 2-3 weeks of January. And after about 3 weeks, we're like, oh, screw this. This is too hard. But I mean, for real, when you think of a resolution, 2 to 3 weeks is kind of your maximum. And then the importance of it kind of goes out the window because it's like, yeah, this is too hard.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of that, like exactly what you're saying, comes down to the fact that, there isn't a specific goal, so to speak, in mind. It's just more of a lifestyle change. So there's no specificity behind it. You're not saying, I want X by the time Z, right? You're just saying, I'm going to improve X.
Well, yeah, so you're not using your SMART goal format to set your goals,
or
right?
Any goal format, right? Maybe they're not setting a goal at all. Maybe it's just that they want to change, and they know they want to change, so they say, I'm going to change. But there's no there's no actionable items behind it.
Yeah, so when we look at it from like a coaching standpoint, we have different phases of where somebody would be in regards to getting ready to change, to actually taking action on that change, to progressing through that change. And so we have a stage that's called pre-contemplation. And that pre-contemplation stage is like, I know it would be good if I did X. I know I should do X, right? We get this a lot with health and fitness. I know I should move more often. I know I should eat more veggies.
You don't have to tell me I need to eat more veggies. I know I need to.
Right? It's like that knowing phase. We all know intrinsically that this is where we should be. And the pre-contemplation moves into contemplation. And contemplation is like, yeah, I probably should do this. I'm going to actually start looking into it. And I call the contemplation stage that investigatory stage.
I was gonna say you are the investigator at that point, trying to figure out how you're gonna do it. Okay, I know I want this, so now what am I doing to get there?
Yeah, and that's really the planning phase. And then we have where I don't remember what the next phase is called, but anyways, it's like essentially where you're going to take action towards it, and you start taking that action, and then as that action builds, you build success and habits and behaviors and so on and so forth. Most people get stuck in contemplation.
I was going to say before they take action.
Right? Yeah. They get stuck without that action taking, and it's like, I'm going to plan and plan and plan and plan and plan, and then and nothing follows through, right? Or we get the New Year's resolution. It's like, I'm going to get the best shape of my life, and I'm going to go to the gym. And for like 3 weeks in January, you're eating right, you're going to the gym, and that wasn't who you were prior to this. And like you said, it's too much too soon, and it just feels too hard, it's too overwhelming, or we get stressed out, or something else happens and that isn't within that control circle in this new lifestyle, and all of a sudden it goes out the window.
One thing that I noticed when we owned our gym before was that every January we had this influx of people, right? And it's the same any gym you've been to, if you've ever been to a gym. January, like Kaila was saying, first 2 to 3 weeks, it is packed in there. It is an absolute gong show inside the gym, which is great. People want change, people go to the gym. But you notice these people, and they're coming 3, 4, sometimes 5 days a week, all of a sudden, and they're brand new at this. And then you start to see them like slowly petering out. These brand new gym goers become overwhelmed because they get to the gym and they just go on YouTube or go on Instagram and they look at a workout and they're like, oh, that looks like I could do that. And then they try and do it, and they try and emulate these people they see online, which is great, if that's how you want to do it. But then they start to lose motivation, lose that momentum, because they're trying to keep up to these people that actually work out all the time, and they're brand new at it. So it's like, oh man, my body is so sore, I can't keep this up. And then as soon as they hit those, like, they're in those DOM cycles, and they're like, oh man, I'm so sorry, I just need some time off. And then their body goes back to, well, hey, I'm used to time off. So then it turns into this habitual time off, and it just... yeah.
It perpetuates.
Start the cycle again.
Yeah. So because we don't believe in New Year's resolutions, because we should be taking back our control over our health and our lifestyles on a consistent basis, we feel that there are some things that we can do to start making those progressive changes and seeing the bigger overall change that you want, right? Most of the time, the New Year's resolution is, I want to get fit, I want to get healthy, right? That's like usually where we're at. So let's start with, I want to get fit. So what is one small thing that you could start doing on a regular basis to just start getting fit? So I would, take a hard look at kind of where you're at.
What do you do now, right? So are you currently, sitting on the couch as soon as you get home? Are you the couch potato? Or are you getting up and you going outside to play with the kids? Are you shoveling your driveway? Are you taking your dogs for a walk? When your kid has hockey, do you walk around the stands? Like, how active are you now?
Well, and be really, really honest with yourself, with your level of physical activity. I've had people come to me and go, yeah, I'm pretty physically active. I'm on my feet all day at work. And so I'm physically active. And it's like, okay, just because you're on your feet all day at work does not actually lend way to you being physically active on a consistent basis. So are you on your feet all day at work, and then do you come home and do nothing but chores, and then you sit down an hour before you go to bed? I would say that's like, moderately active, right? So we want to really be very aware and very honest with ourselves with how active we actually are. And then we just add one thing in. So if you are the couch potato and you come home from work and you sit on the couch and you don't really do a whole heck of a lot outside of that, then maybe you just start getting up and moving more often. Maybe you start stretching in between commercials.
Yeah.
Like what is the easiest thing? Because we've talked about this before in a couple other podcasts, but it's like you've got the big kahuna, like the big thing that you can change, or you got the low hanging fruit, which are like those small things that you can change. And the big kahuna is great, that one big thing that you can change and it's going to make a big overall difference. But at the end of the day, unless you've got somebody holding you accountable, that might be a lot harder to change. Whereas if you get the low-hanging fruit, the things that are easy, we can actually begin to start that snowball effect. It's like, okay, actually, I am stretching in between commercials. This feels really good. I got up and I actually went for a 15-minute walk today when I got home from work because I just wanted to. And that starts the cascade of events. It's like you just keep wanting to do more and more and more and more and more. And it builds over time. And by the end of it, you don't even realize that you've made all of these giant changes. If you're ready to make a change in your life, step into the best version of you, check out our Iron Self Transformation Program. Find more info on our website, www.ironbodycoach.com.
One thing you just said that I wanted to touch on was you said you have nobody holding you accountable, which is very true, right? If you don't have somebody holding you accountable, you're less likely to follow through because, again, we like to fall back into our old habits. So having somebody, whoever it might be, that holds you accountable, that you can hold each other accountable is a beautiful thing. So whether that's on social media, if you have like a friend on Facebook that's on a similar journey to you, sure, reach out to them and say, hey, I noticed you're trying to get more active. I'm looking to do the same thing. You know, do you want to walk together? Do you want to do whatever? Just check in after our walks.
I wouldn't say make it your spouse be your accountability buddy. And I say that because there ends up being animosity. I mean, I'm just not speaking from any previous experience. But no, like if I've ever tried to hold Mike accountable to a goal and vice versa, we kind of get our backs up. It's like, I'm going to do what I want. Like, screw you, don't hold me accountable to this. I'm going to eat these chips if I want to.
I will say it's probably worse because both of us are trainers, so we're both right all the time.
But yeah, like we end up building a little bit of the animosity. It's like, I don't care what you say, and I want to be defiant against you. It's like, whatever you say, okay, yeah, I'm going to do my own thing. So make sure it's somebody that you're not necessarily wanting to defy.
Okay, so that is getting some more movement or more fitness into your life.
Okay, so how do we begin to build on eating better or being healthier?
Well, again, it comes back to those small habits, right? Again, not changing everything at once. If we want to start eating healthier, start eating whole foods. We talk about this all the time because we are huge on it, right?
Reducing those inflammatory foods can be something that you might actually notice that your weight drops all of a sudden. Like you stop eating gluten and all of a sudden your guts aren't as bloated. Or maybe you stop including inflammatory oils that aren't necessarily shelf stable that you've been cooking with all this time. And all of a sudden you're not getting the same level of inflammation in your body and your body's not retaining as much water. Your digestion gets better. Maybe you need to increase your healthy fats in your diet because you've been on such low fat diet for so long that you need a little bit of healthy fats in there, like some avocado or something to get the bowels moving.
Most people that haven't paid attention to their diet need to increase their protein. Most people. When we get clients in and they're brand new and they're like, yeah, I think I eat protein. And you look at it as like 30 grams of protein in a day. You're like, no, that is not enough.
No, we do preach a moderate to high protein diet. But I mean, the average person should be getting a minimum of around that like 70 grams of protein a day. And we often will see people that are getting way less than that. So just something to be very aware of is how much protein are you getting? How often are you prioritizing it? Like, are you grabbing a cinnamon bun for breakfast? Or are you having something that's got a little bit more sustenance to it? What are you grabbing throughout the day? Are you noticing that you're drinking 5 or 6 cups of coffee in a day because your energy just keeps crashing? Maybe you need to like start
balancing breakfast.
Yeah, balancing out your day in general, or your food choices in general. There's lots of different things that you can begin to do to really start taking action towards a healthier you.
But again, these are things that we can do all year round. Waiting for one specific day, whether it's New Year's or your birthday or whatever it might be, waiting for that one day to change everything is absolutely insane, right? That's like waiting for, you're waiting for the second coming because you just, there has to be a specific date. There doesn't have to be a specific day. every day is a great day to be 1% better.
Yeah, and you're waiting for that ball to drop, right? It's like, okay, when this happens, I'm going to do this. And we know those when, if kind of statements, they really limit us and they hold us back. They don't allow us to step into that power.
Well, you're putting boundaries on everything, right? There's stipulations. I will do this when this. I will do this if this. That doesn't make sense. If you want to change in your life, go out and do it right now. There's no better time than while you're sitting here listening to us yammer on about New Year's resolutions to get up and make a change in your life. It doesn't have to be this astronomical huge change either. Start small.
Maybe the small thing is that you just start nasal breathing. Maybe you just start breathing through your nose and you're like, wow, okay, that actually made a difference to my energy levels. I didn't actually have to physically buy anything. There was no gimmick involved. I have my breath with me all the time and I burn more fat when I breathe through my nose.
Yeah, or maybe you're just going to start including breakfast. So many people skip breakfast. And I'm not saying you have to have breakfast by any means. We have clients that don't eat until noon, 1 o'clock, whatever it might be. But if you are lacking energy in the afternoon, there's a very good chance that you need to have a more sustainable breakfast or morning routine that includes breakfast, coffee, whatever it might be, to get you through that day so that you don't have those low points, those lulls in your day.
Mm-hmm. When it comes to New Year's resolutions, one thing I really wanted to bring into the forefront is the importance of just being healthy on a consistent basis. I mean, if COVID and this whole like world crisis around COVID has taught us anything, it's that we should be healthier. And I was listening to a podcast the other day, I think it was like the Mind Pump podcast or something along those lines. But anyways, and they were talking about if people had just started taking action to get into a healthy weight and to get their bodies healthy when COVID had started, our world would be a totally different place. But what happens is that we've actually gone the reverse. Like you hear people talking like, oh, I gained the COVID-10 or the COVID-15, and they're putting on weight versus trying to maintain it and get healthier. And so if you, and I think you did some sort of a calculation around this, but it was like, if you just dedicate like 3 months of your life to like eating better, moving better,
creating new habits,
new habits, that's like, what was it?
It was 0.003% of your life. In a average lifespan of 84 years, 3 months is nothing.
Yeah.
Is less than 1% of your life.
And I mean, if we had started getting healthy when COVID had started, we would be, almost 2 years in now, and you could be down 100 pounds or more. Like you could have already reached your goals if you had just started. So the biggest thing, like Mike has said right at the beginning, is taking action and taking action today. Not waiting for that ball to drop, that perfect moment. There is no perfect moment. The stress isn't going to go away. That activity isn't going to go away. Like all of these things is life. And starting to adapt your habits, your behaviors, your routines, all of that around life. And being gracious to yourself when life happens.
Yeah.
When life happens, that's okay. Guess what? It's life. Like, don't berate yourself and beat yourself up. Enjoy it.
We just came through Christmas. I'm willing to bet that 90% of the people listening to this enjoyed themselves over Christmas. Don't beat yourself up over that. You deserve to enjoy your life. You deserve to enjoy the foods you eat. You deserve to enjoy your life. So enjoy it. Enjoy the hell out of it. But be smart about it.
Yeah, and, put yourself first from time to time. We often will put ourselves on the back burner, and it's like, oh, I'm looking for this happiness for others. I want to do this for others. But in fact, you are being so selfish in that process of putting other people first, because at the end of the day, I bet you not all of those other people put you first. And you are trying to change yourself in order to appease other people. And it's, in essence, you're saying, I'm not going to show these people who I really am. And that is a piece that I would really wholeheartedly recommend you take a look at is, do I need to please these people in this way that isn't my normal behavior? This isn't what I would normally do. Or can I see if they can just accept me for who I am in this moment?
Well, the funny thing about this is, like, my entire working career has all been about service, serving other people, being able to help people, and same for you, right? So we're not saying don't serve other people, by all means, right? Life, you should be able to share with people, you should be able to serve people to make them better, elevate, right? Lift everybody up together. But if you're not taking that time for yourself too, then you're doing yourself a huge disservice. Because if you aren't looking after number one first, then everybody else is only getting a shard of what you could be, the potential that you could bring to them.
That's 100% it. And you know, like, it's like when you go on an airplane and they're like, when the airplane explodes, put your mask on first.
Not when it explodes. When it explodes, you don't have to worry about a mask.
Anyways, when something happens on the airplane, put your own mask on and your own life vest on first, and then worry about those around you. And as a parent, I would definitely put my kids on first, but but you are no good to anybody else if you're not taking care of yourself. Yeah. And I think that's the main message with this New Year's resolution is don't change too much too soon and put your own life vest on first. Yeah. Your health is imperative. And when you are healthy, you can actually serve the people around you that much more and serve society that much more.
I hate to brag about this, but through the entirety of this pandemic that we've been going through the entire world, we've been healthy the entire time. We've been, and I'm not going to say lucky, we work our asses off, right? Like we eat well, we exercise, we really control what comes into our lives in general, and we've been able to stay healthy. And there's a lot of people that have been able to do the same, but there's a lot of people who haven't. So if you are on the latter side and you've had health issues, you've been exposed to things that, you know, that compromise how you feel, then you should take a hard look at yourself and realize that you are worth the investment of your own time.
Totally. And I think that that also comes on the flip side of that is that if you have health conditions that run in your family, you don't currently have them, but they run in your family, you know about them, all of those kinds of things. Don't wait to be diagnosed with something. Don't wait for something to come down the line and then say, oh, because of this, now I'm going to take action. Take action today. By taking action today, you're saying, I'm worth this and I'm going to defy genetics. I'm going to defy all other odds. Or I'm just going to try and be better myself. Because at the end of the day, the reason why we want to be healthier, all these other things, is that we want to live longer. We want to be around longer. That's really what it is. We want
vitality. We want to be able to enjoy our lives. You don't want to work your entire, I'm going to call it prime away, right? Just to retire and then do disease management. When you retire, you want to be able to enjoy that, right? When I turn 50 years old and I am retired on a beach, I want to be able to do whatever I want. I'm going to go skydiving with this one. I'm going to make her jump out of a perfectly good plane.
That's not going to happen.
But my point is, you want vitality. You want to be able to stride into your retirement proud and ready to enjoy yourself.
And if you're already in retirement and you are at the point where you're like, I am doing a little bit of disease management, I want you to think about that and go, how can I make myself better? How can I start to reverse these things? Because a lot of disease and illness can be reversible through lifestyle, diet, exercise, what you are ingesting from like listening to, watching, all of that stuff plays into this. So most of the lifestyle diseases that we have can be reversed. We just have to do things differently. And that comes from that desire to do things differently and that taking that low-hanging fruit and starting to build that snowball effect into making these great changes.
100%. I think that's a beautiful way to end this.
Thank you so much for listening today. I hope you found some value in this episode. Share it with a friend, a family member. Reach out to us if you have any questions or concerns surrounding your goals, your New Year's resolutions. How do I find the low-hanging fruit? You can reach us at www.ironbodycoach.com or info@ironbodycoach.com.
Have a great 2022.
Bye for now.
Happy New Year's, guys.